Matter of fact, since I sat there and just said that about that heater, and if my dad was right here, my dad would tell me, go after him. Go after them for the revenge of my family, what they've done to my family, John. Yeah. Because my dad trained me not to get in trouble, and the only reason why I'm still alive is because I've stood up to these bitches. And I'd like to see all these law enforcement officers in Lewis County that knows me, that's seen my face, that's talked to me, that I could pull up out of a lineup. Why don't you sit down and write me a 500-word essay in your goddamn room by yourself and see what you come up with, because all they was doing was picking my ideas and wondering where I was at in my thinking and thoughts. And I'll tell you what, when they sent me back to college when I was injured, the Department of L&I, you know what? I guess they've supported me over all these years because of the fact that I got injured at work. And looking back at it, the injuries that was caused to me was caused deliberately at the Nakano's logging job because they were connected to my brother Jerry and the cops. And they're connected to the Nakanos are connected to the cops, and so is Jerry Wright. And that yarder right there that I got hurt under is right there in Port Angeles, Washington at Rygard's logging. And Gabe Rygard, he got killed a few years ago on the road. You know, I find that amazing. Us loggers work in the most dangerous situations and all, and he gets killed in a road rage situation in Port Angeles, Washington, and that's exactly what the wreck looks like to me. You put one of us people that I know that's loggers in a situation, we'll outsmart you. You know that show on TV, Axemen? Yeah, they do have yarders. There is some professional loggers that's out there in Oregon, but right here in Washington State, that green yarder, um, DJ Jeremiah works up there. Well, I know DJ Jeremiah. He sat in my house. He used to sleep with my niece Nicole, which is Jerry Wright's daughter. I'll tell you another thing. My brother Jerry's wife, his daughter Nicole, my niece, brought two women to my house. You know, Eve St. Clair from Salcombe, Washington, which I think she was, actually, I think she was 1977 Playmate of the Year, is what I was told. When she was 18 years old, she would have been just a little older than me. That I was told she was, I think she told me that she was Playboy magazine 1977 Playmate of the Year. And she's married to Bud, and me and Bud, we turned out to be friends. You know, I never had sex with that woman. And I can't say that. Like Bill Clinton can't, and I never got no blowjob either, Bill. And I don't blame you for getting a blowjob, Bill. Monica Lewinsky. Damn. Hey, and by the way, Bill, they sent a woman with the letter L in her name to get you. Hey, Louis, to take you down, like Lewis County, Washington, like Lewiston, Maine. I mean, when you start talking about these people that, was it maybe Monica and Bill Clinton was meant to be, because she was an attractive woman and he was kind of an attractive man, and you could see the chemistry between the two of them when there's even a picture. And that chemistry, I don't see it when Bill and Hillary stands together. Only when Bill was a younger man, and he's got a thing on his head, a bandana like my son. And I see Bill Clinton with Hillary, and Hillary's got these big glasses and stuff, and she's not good looking really. But you know what? Sometimes the good looking women are really good in bed. And they'll do things that other women won't do because they want to keep their men happy. You know, So when I joke around and say, well, I'd like to have Roseanne Barr, well, I'd like to have Roseanne Barr's mouth backing me up, because if she knew how I felt, Roseanne Barr, and I knew how Roseanne Barr would felt. Maybe I do know how Roseanne Barr feels, by the way, by just watching her, because I read people's actions and stuff. My dad told me, you watch how these people walk, they're casing the bowling alley. You got to watch this, John. Here's Danny Johnson is talking to me about this business has to be just so. Every time that sweep drops, it's a penny. I mean, here I've got all of these mentors above me. Whether it's Muhammad Ali, or it's Bruce Lee, or it's Playboy Buddy Rose. I'll tell you what, you want to play with somebody that'll get fucking down and dirty? I didn't know professional wrestling wasn't real. They're pretty good actors, and they're pretty good stunt actors too. And back in the day, things would get a little out of hand, and people would get injured, and people would get pissed off, and bad things would happen. I can't say that I sat down and had coffee with Buddy Rose, but I went to his matches, and when he seen me, he'd point out like this, and I'd say, hey, are we going to have a good fight tonight? He'd say, you owe me $8. Buddy Rose would tell me, you owe me $8, because that was the ticket price to get in, $8 to get into the wrestling match. So I got to meet Kurt Hennig. I got to meet Playboy Buddy Rose. I didn't. Like I said, I never had coffee with. I got to talk to Kurt Hennig. Stand right with them for 15 minutes and watch this young man glow. Got to talk to him about his dad, Axe Hennig, the wrestler. Let's see. Rip the Crippler Oliver. Oh, the Rippler, the Crippler, we'll put you out on the, what? The stretcher. I'll tell you what, now there's that stretcher. Now, some of this means stuff to me. When you see a stretcher, my best friend was carried out of that house on a fucking stretcher with rollers on it and stuff right there before my eyes on Division Street in Morton, Washington. And if you haven't had the opportunity to have your best friend murdered in front of you by your brother, then have all the cops come there and keep you there, right there, so you remember this for the rest of your goddamn life. Everybody else was taken away from the situation, but the boy that was next to the man's bed, that was totally done wrong, and they totally fucking forced that whole situation on me, so I'd remember this whole goddamn event, so they could use me as a point to threaten people. I remember sitting in that cop car, the same car that me and Jim seen pull up, slide up. Cops pulled up right there because me and Jim was away from the house, because Jim ran and found me away from the house. He left the scene of the crime to find the victim that ran away. And here I am up there where my dad lived his last days of his life, right there on the other side of Judy Gall's house, and I'm sitting there next to the telephone pole, and I got my head to the telephone pole going, my God, he just murdered my best friend. I'm not hitting my head hard on the telephone pole, but I'm just, my God, is this goddamn real? Then all of a sudden I feel my brother Jim's hand on my shoulder. You got to come back. You can't run from this, John. They'll throw away the key. They'll lock me up and throw away the key. You got to help me. You got to help me, John. Pleading with me. The things that I say is to you, you see this and you can only imagine. Could you imagine sitting in your bedroom and sitting there talking to your best friend right here, then see your brother standing in the doorway looking at you both, sizing you up? I could see my brother's eyes. Didn't say a word. Terry can't see him standing there. He walked downstairs. He got the 30-30. He'd been gone for 8 or 10 minutes. Patty L. Wright and Jim both knew that he was coming up there to shoot him. Because I'll tell you what, after that happened, Patty was totally gone from the house. Debbie was left there, the baby. You know, Jim was in the house, I guess, until, I don't know when Jim left, that Jim was gone, too. Jerry Wright comes onto the property. He comes onto the property and picks up Debbie Wright and walks down the walkway. I see him. I'm in the cop car at the end of the walkway here. The front door's there. My bedroom's there. I see flashings going on. There's cameras flashing in my bedroom. They're taking pictures. They've got a body chalk line up there in my bedroom. I know. I went up there and seen it after the fact. They're processing the crime scene, and I'm witnessing it. And I witnessed Jerry Wright come there and take that child, Debbie Ann Wright. That wasn't my mother's child. It was my sister Bonnie's child, and he kidnapped her and took her at that point. And they've been playing all of us against us, holding this child in front of us and lying to the public. And they said that brand new 30-30 that was purchased at the Coast to Coast department store 1 week early was a faulty gun. And that faulty gun was actually a .22 caliber gun, and it wasn't a 30-30. And my brother Jim, he had come and threatened me after the fact. He'd say, you know, after this court case is over, we're going to be back together again, John. I'm a kid. They can't lock me up forever, and he's threatening me. You know, and they're all threatening me. And even my sister Bonnie said, you know, this is going to give Jim a second. This is because of my friend's murder. That this will give Jim a second chance in life. Jim been abusing me from that point ever on. Before that, me and Jim was pretty much kind of maybe working together, you know, going fishing and stuff, sneaking around because Jim wouldn't go in the public. But after that, when they murdered that boy, then they played me and my brother Jim against each other. And it's costed Jim. Jim kept coming back and attacking me for over and over. And he kept getting his ass kicked. And he kept getting his ass kicked. And to this day, and I've actually had Jim sit there in Bonnie's house. Well, right there where I'm in a picture, standing next to that fireplace with that picture on with a rabbit on it. And he's saying something, you know, and I said, hey, do you remember when I kicked your ass? And it's about ready to happen again in front of the whole family. And he says, it didn't happen. And he starts putting his head down, going like this. And I said, yeah, it did. Look at him. Look at him. And the whole family looked. And Kevin Baker right there, my nephew, he remembered that. And he burnt my car and stuff. And he goddamn knows that I'll stand up and kick someone's goddamn ass if they fucking push me to it. I love my nephew. I don't think he wanted to push me into a fight, but I know that he wanted me to realize that I was not the only one that was abused. And apparently my nephew that's right here on this here property has been done too. And then the cops took away his children off the property and kidnapped them just like my sister Debbie, and I'd like to have his children returned. Thank you very much this morning. 14 minutes. I'm out of here. Thank you for your time. I'm an American, and I've been treated like I'm a third world person, and Donald Trump, the Republican Party, is really involved in it, and they're responsible for it. Thank you for your time, America, and do what you can for America. And when somebody starts blowing smoke up your ass, ask them, can you please explain? And you'll watch a blank face come across their look, because they can't do it. They can only abuse you into silence, but they can't talk the straight talk and line. You have a nice day, and thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you very much. And remember, get your Maxwell House coffee this year. And D.B. Cooper's real son says, take it to the max and vote blue this year. And I'd like to be the governor of Washington State, so remember me, John T Wright.